Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo De Rosario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite sports icons and athletes. Hello, I'm Boom Gonzalez. You can watch the game live and our past episodes on demand on the Pilipinas Live app for just 149 pesos a month. Available for download on Google Play or the App Store.
Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Well, we are done with Day 8 in the PVL 2023 All-Filipino Conference, and so far, fans have been treated to action-packed games in the heart of volleyball in and outside of Metro Manila. Here to give us a breakdown of what has been happening in the PVL is volleyball analyst Neil, the real deal Flores. Hey Neil, how are you?
Hello. Good to be back.
I like how you're
Always.
never ready for that. Let us start first with Petrogas because they're a team that have been rolling.
Yeah.
3-0 so far without conceding a set. And I'm not sure whether or not people should be surprised with how they're performing, but then what do you make of their start early on in the season?
Well, for the Petrogas Angels, I think they're also one of the teams to beat. We know that they lost MJ Phillips because right now she's playing in Korea. Pero they were able to acquire Rania Musa, and actually that was their missing link in the past conference, a steady, solid middle blocker. And they also got an additional libero in Bilov Barbon. So, ito yung mga low-key recruits because I know most of the attention of the volleyball community napupunta dun sa mga stars eh.
Yeah.
But there are also underrated players na nakuha talaga ng Petrogas. So, they are a strong team.
We're probably the first ones that are talking about Petrogas in the last couple of weeks. And I joke about it, saying that this is what Petrogas does, di ba, Neil? They, just...
They lull you.
Yeah, they snake through the grass and
yeah.
then all of a sudden, tutukain ka na lang, kumbaga. But this is the post-Coach O time for them already. How's it been, in your opinion?
Well, si Coach Timmy Santo Tomas, their
Yes.
new head coach naman, and their assistant coaches in Vince Mangulabnan and Mona Bagaching,
Of
they
course.
have been the coaching staff
Ni Coach O.
for a very long time. And system-wise, Coach Timmy is very technical. He's very straight to the point. And I feel that they have embraced Coach Timmy's style. Kaya ang ganda din ng working dynamic ng players with their coaching staff. That's why maganda yung nilalaro. Again, 3 games, wala silang naitalo na set. So I guess that's a big statement
Out
as well.
of town pa yun, yung isa. Tama.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also a bit of a log jam in the sense that there are a couple of teams also tied up at 2-1 in the standings right now, namely F2, PLDT, and Choco Mucho. It feels like these teams haven't yet found their real stride or at least lived up to the expectation that we have all set for them. Of course, we all expect them to eventually get there. But what do you make of that log jam in the middle?
These 3 teams, these are the teams that have been trying to make it to that final round. Sila yung mga teams na kinakapos. But compared to the previous conferences, I would say that they performed better at the start of the conference ngayon. And that's very important because it's a single round robin elimination format. And rule of thumb, when you're in this type of tournament, you cannot afford to lose to the lower seeded teams.
Right.
And you have to try your best to win against the higher seeded teams.
Right.
So far, I think that they have done well.
Right. Obviously, some stars and some names that we will talk about in a bit for F2, PLDT, and Choco Mucho. Pero maganda yan eh. I mean, ito, predict natin, this is going to be a major horse race down the stretch. Yesterday, though, let's talk about yesterday's games. You and I were there, Neil. We covered different games. Let's start with the team that you covered yesterday, Signal. They bounced back, but let's talk about the struggles first that they've encountered in the conference before that bounce-back match yesterday.
They lost a vocal leader in Rachel Andakis, and there were a couple of games when they lost against the sister teams of Ribisco. They lost to Creamline.
Right.
They also lost to Choco
Choco
Mucho.
Mucho, right.
And they have always won against Choco Mucho in the past.
First time,
And
first time sila
that was the
natalo.
first time that they lost. I guess that was a rude awakening for Signal HD that you cannot take any team lightly, even if you won against them before. Sometimes when we have a very good track record against other teams, you bring that confidence, and sometimes nadudulas ka din. And I guess that was also a wake-up call, especially when they went up against Akari. you saw the change. Ces Molina took the reins of becoming the new vocal leader aside from being one of the top scorers of the team. And Coach Shaq was very happy kasi
Yeah.
we were talking about the extremes of the spectrum of Signal. It's either they play really well or they play
Split
really bad.
personality team.
Parang ganun eh.
Yeah.
And they played well. They lost the second set, but collectively, they really played better against the Akari Chargers.
Yeah, they lost the second set 25-19. And when you said that they miss a vocal leader in Rachel Andakis, I swear I can still hear her say happiness signal in between every huddle. You take a look at the other game though, Farm Fresh Foxes against the Creamline Cool Smashers. And Farm Fresh looked good. They did lose that game against the Creamline Cool Smashers, but then Farm Fresh were able to take a frame and were able to keep it competitive all throughout. It wasn't just a fluke that they stole that they took that frame rather, that second set.
I did cover the Signal Akari game, but as a fan, that previous game of Farm Fresh was my favorite so far in this conference because Farm Fresh really put up a big fight against the defending champions. I would say that they're a really good team. So much potential.
Quality rallies yesterday.
Super quality
It's so
rally.
good.
You saw the impact of
Louis,
some of the players, P.L. Defonso and Louis Romero.
Tubes.
Trisha Tubo also finally easing in as
Correct.
a sophomore
Agree.
in the PVL kasi naramdaman din natin yung, I don't know, maybe jitters or kaba in the first season.
May discomfort siya ng
Yeah.
konti.
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
But there's always that comfort when you know that the setter
Yes.
in your team has been your setter for most of your years in the past. So
Right.
it was a very easy transition. And itong Farm Fresh, dito mo makikita that they're the team that really plays as one unit.
Yeah, I'm excited for them. I love the fact that after the match, the fans of Creamline applauded them at the end because they were so good. They gave their team a run for their money. All right, preview muna tayo for tomorrow. Tomorrow, Santa Rosa ang laban tomorrow, no? So let's talk about that. Ooh, Ivy Laxina, Jonas Abete, their blocking prowess is coming up here in this All-Filipino Conference. Let's talk about that match.
Yeah, both of them are in the top 10 category in the best blocker. And nakakatuwa yun, especially for Jonas Abete because
yeah.
she is an outside hitter.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it would always be the middles or the opposites who would get the bulk of the kill blocks. But the fact that Jonas Abete is getting her numbers defensively with the limited touches that makukuha niya is a good sign for Petrogas. Ivy Laxina has really been carrying F2 in terms of attacking. She has transitioned from middle to outside to
She's doing it all.
opposite.
Yeah.
So somebody really needs to step up.
Yeah,
help her.
the other game we're going to talk about here, PLDT against Next Led, Royce Tubino and Laika Ibon. Itong si Ibon in particular finally had a bit more playing time and it looks like she deserves it based on her performances so far.
Yeah, like Ebon recovered from that injury, and I feel like she's more comfortable now with Next Led compared to the Akari. I don't know why, it just feels right.
Yeah.
And Royce Tubino never really had a struggle in blending in the PLDT system.
Agree.
Kasi
Yeah.
most of the teammates niya, naging kakampi niya na before. So it was also an easy transition for her.
Yeah, PLDT is dangerous. You know,
They are.
Don't you
Yeah.
think so? Like, there's one of those teams na kala mo, you know, tahimik, but they're going to be dangerous. This is very interesting PVL conference. And everybody's going to meet everybody, as we said, Neil, on the first day. That's why we're going to love this PVL. And by the way, more volleyball stories with Neil after the break. So keep it here. You're watching the game. Welcome back to the game. The PVL All-Filipino Conference is heating up as we have been talking about, and along with the intense matches, we're also witnessing exciting stories both on and off the court. Still here to give us a glimpse into these stories is our friend Neil Flores. All right, Neil, Riri versus Fifi, and this is beyond just the nicknames that make the matchups great. And I think we also tend to forget that Fifi is doing very well in the conference. Also, probably because she's been with them for an extra conference but did not play.
Yeah.
Pero at least exposed na siya sa kanila. No? I think we tend to forget that part.
Yeah.
Neil.
When you take a look at the composition of Signal HD and Akari, player by player, it was evenly matched. And the middle blocker matchup was one thing that I really anticipated because the swag of Riri Meneses, matatapatan talaga ni Fifi. And sometimes you wouldn't see Riri Meneses start and mukhang nahamon siya ni Fifi Sharma in that stare down, and that really pumped up the entertainment value, I guess, of the game.
Oh, I can't wait when Remy Palma comes in.
And people enjoyed.
Diba? Oh,
People really enjoyed that
For
matchup.
sure.
Skill set wise, they have the same style, I would say. Magaling silang bumasa ng block. They also have the same points of attack. You can put them in a slide attack, a quick attack. Kung ano man yung play, kaya nilang gawin. So, it was fun to watch.
You know, nakaka-excite yung Petrogas Akari matchup eventually.
I'm just wondering though, when you take a look at Fifi, how did she change this Akari team? Because remember, she was there for a while.
Yeah.
We've seen her previous conferences just there. Pero now that she's on the court, how do you feel she's changed this team in terms of yung product on the floor?
Oh, malaki. Malaki talaga pinagbago ng Akari. They were a totally different team in the last conference, but now they're here to win. And middle blocker yung pinakakulang. Even their team manager said that they really needed a solid middle blocker. More than the skills, I would say it was really the winning mindset and culture na naidala ni Fifi to their teammates because she was a champion in the UAAP. So coming from that fresh gold medal run, na sinama mo pa si Justin Hazareno, na she's also one of the players that I'm very impressed as a rookie. Nakumpleto nila yung roster ng Akari.
Yeah, this Akari team has trimmed down, you know, in terms of parang yung core nila. And sometimes we also take for granted, kailangan mo ng emotional leader. I don't know if you can call Fifi a leader, but some emotional jolt in a team, and she provides that. Speaking of jolts, I mean, the addition of Louis Romero, Farm Fresh, we talked about how great it was, but let's break it down, Neil. What kind, I feel, and I said this yesterday with Ayelda, she's also the perfect player to be a captain for a Jerry Yee personality. Why is that?
Coach Jerry is a type of coach na hahayaan ka niyang dumiskarte. And Louis Romero is a player that knows how to play the game. And she knows how to play it really well. She took her notes for sure with her idols. So in a way, she kind of mimics the movements of some of her idols like Gia Morado de Guzman, probably Nutsara of Thailand. Yan yung mga playing styles na nakikita natin. And the setter's position is actually the hardest to fill.
Yeah.
So they found a gem in Louis Romero.
Boy, did they.
And everybody saw it. The commanding presence, the direction, the perspective of playmaking. It's a complete package. So, Farm Fresh, I would say na kailangan nilang kumuha ng isa pang power player na outside to help Louis. That's, for me, that's only the missing link of Farm Fresh. Not to take anything away from the current outside hitters, but you need a player that has that one-stop, one-kill mindset.
And maybe a veteran at that
Yes.
too. Kasi lahat ng mga to bata. You know, when you think about it, all the Farm Fresh players, Pao, Neil, are eligible for a year pa in the UAP, or di ba? So
That's
pwede
true.
pa.
You take a look at the fact that she's making an impact not just with the way that she plays, but the leadership style. Siguro if you take a dagger look from her, for anything, for letting her down, you're gonna feel terrible about yourself. You take a look at yung leadership aspect niya, what she brings this team. It's very tangible on the court, isn't it?
And the expectations are always there, especially for Louis. Once she gets a pass, may it be perfect or imperfect, she will really do her best na maihatid yung bola dun sa teammate niya. So, pag pinaghirapan nila yung first 2 touches, of course, there will always be an expectation that you have to kill the ball and convert it into a point.
Right.
And isang tingin pa lang ni Louie, alam mo na kung ano yung dapat mong gawin. And that is a sign of good leadership.
Yeah.
Ganda no laban nila ni Kyle Negrito. We gotta give credit to Kyle.
Yes.
She was also spectacular yesterday. I don't know which is worse, getting dagger looks from Louis or from Coach Jerry Yee, which is also a story in itself. Kat Tolentino as a starter again, that was good to see. No offense, of course, to Kate Viray or anybody who has started in Kat, but we all know what Kat's ability is. What is the difference when Kat is back as the starter, as their opposite for Choco Mucho?
First of all, better, stronger blocking pattern. Of course, she is taller than Caitlin Viray. And we have to remember that Kat has always been the go-to girl for Choco Mucho.
Yeah.
Kumbaga, Dina and Kat, sila yung naging 1-2 in the past conferences.
Before CC, you're
Before
right.
CC.
Right.
So, that production was missed, especially dun sa game nila against Creamline, I would say. But now that she's back on the floor, Caitlin Viray will always be ready.
Yeah.
That was her original role.
Even in UST.
Yeah,
Correct.
even in UST. And she doesn't have a problem with that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
That's
now
good
that
point.
we already saw her start, alam ngayon ng ni Coach Dante that she can use her as an off-the-bench player or as a starter. And malaking bagay yun for Choco Mucho, especially after a lot of attempts to enter the Final Four in the
Next
medal
phase,
match.
yeah. Yeah.
So we really are hoping that they go all the way this time.
Yeah. Another player that we need to talk about, Ara Galang, who felt like she turned back the clock.
Yeah.
Really looked like a college student again in terms of her play. What in a very good way? What did you make of that?
LaSalle fans are very happy,
Yeah.
especially on social media. Because yun yung hinahanap nila eh. They know that the skills, never naman yun nawala eh. Maybe sometimes it's all in the mind, overthinking of how you played in the past. So there are a couple of bumps on the road that you really need to get past. But itong si Ara Galang, top scored probably or top scored or second top scorer in their previous game. That was a good sign because outside hitters really get most of the sets.
Correct.
So they need to pump up their efficiency kasi at some point, siguro pagdating sa gitna ng conference, mababantayan si Ivy Lacsina eh. These teams, even the lower seeded teams, they do their homework.
Yeah.
They train really hard. So once na dumating yung time na nababantayan na si Ivy Lacsina, somebody else has to carry that load. So Ara Galang can be the next go-to girl for F2.
Right, and I don't know if we were the one who did the first game, right? And we said from day one, she looked different. So physically, I think, Pao, she's also at her best in the previous years where she's had nagging injuries. So that, I think, also is contributing to that mental part. She looks great, and we're happy to see her back. Of course, especially with KKD not playing, they're going to need her. Just like we always need you, Neil, to slice these stories for us. Maraming salamat. And by the way, games tomorrow will be in Santa Rosa. Please watch out for it. Neil, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neil.
Here on the show. Also,
Well,
in the next segment,
Of course, the
Yes.
latest in the NBA when we return. Keep it here.
Ooh.
You're watching the game.
big story.
back. You're watching the game. After months of speculation, James Harden has officially moved from the Sixers franchise in a blockbuster trade that broke headlines yesterday. The 10-time All-Star is now a Los Angeles Clipper, along with PJ Tucker and Philip Petrusev. The Sixers receive a package that includes Robert Covington, Nick Batum, Marcus Morris, and 4 future picks involving a pick swap with the OKC Thunder. Harden reunites with former teammate and fellow season MVP winner Russell Westbrook, teaming up with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
Speaking of the Clippers, the big trade was not a cause of distraction earlier as they handled their business against the Orlando Magic. Final score is 118 to 102 as they improve to 3-0, or make that 3-1 rather, in the standings. Paul George led the way with 27 big points to go along with 7 rebounds. In other Western Conference news, the San Antonio Spurs rallied from a 20-point deficit to upset the Phoenix Suns 115 to 114. Wild game, wild ending.
Yes,
Keldon
sir.
Johnson and Victor Wembanyama combined for 45 points as the Spurs get their second win of the season. Stay on top of all the NBA action live and on demand on NBA TV Philippines and, of course, on the Pilipinas Live app. Hey, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Boom Gonzalez.
And I'm Paulo De Rosario. This has been The Game.